Meet Zoomlock, the 10-second flame-free refrigerant fitting from Parker. Reduce labor costs by 60% with no brazing, no flame, and no fire spotter. Discover how Zoomlock can help you be more efficient and productive. Visit Zoomlock.com for more information.
Welcome back to another episode of Israelhvac podcast with me, John Israel. Don't forget to download the podcast on Android using Podcast Addict or Stitcher. If you use Apple products, simply use iTunes. Hey guys, welcome back to the Israelhvac podcast. Candace is not joining me here today on this opening. She is occupied doing other things, but that's okay. We're going to go over some good content here in this opening. But this week I was able to interview, very excited, because I didn't think he would do it, mainly because he's such a busy guy, but he was able to find time to do it. So we're going to talk to Chuck Pierce from Comfort Plus Heating and Cooling this week. He's a YouTuber. And he's a good friend. Very great technician. I mean, a fantastic technician. My good buddy Zach Ciota, who is also my co-host of Cowboys HVAC podcast, gave him the nickname Batman. He is the Batman of HVAC. We're going to talk about why that is in the interview with Chuck. But before that, I want to talk about the new CPS digital manifold. The new CPS digital manifold I think it's been out for a while, but it's really starting to surface. My good buddy Ralph Wolf from TNN Services on YouTube, and who is also the Third Cowboy and also co-host of the WJR podcast, just got a set and did a video review on the CPS digital manifold. And I find it really strange that some of the guys out there, and here's the great thing about the CPS digital manifold. It is American made. It's made right here in the good old US of A. Now, a lot of guys, including myself, have been bitching about the Testo 550 and the Testo products and some of Testo's newer products in general, because they're Chinese made. Well, here we are. We have a product that's USA made. Most of us on here are conservative Republicans, and you may have not been for Donald Trump, but I'm pretty sure that you voted for him over Hillary. And we all agree that we want jobs brought back to America, and with that comes a price. American-made items, tools, whatever it may be, are going to cost more money. This is something that we all know. But the guys on Ralph's video are leaving comments, they cheap, junk, blah, blah, blah. And, the price. You can get a Testo 549 for $100-something. Yeah, you can get a Chinese piece of junk for $149, because I had them. I had the Testo 550 or 549 for $150, and they didn't do very good for me. I couldn't trust them anymore. Now, the German-made Testos, the original ones that I had when they were German-made, couldn't beat them. But now we have a product here in the USA that's made right here in America, and you want to bitch because you don't want to pay a little extra money? But I thought you wanted a USA-made product. I thought you guys wanted jobs brought back to America, and you wanted to buy American tools and American items, but you don't want to pay the money? And you think they're junk? Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going to get me a set of these gauges because of the fact that they're USA made. And I can tell you right now, CPS makes good stuff. So I can tell you they're not junk. I'm sure there's going to be a couple things that I don't like about them. There's a couple things that Ralph doesn't like about them. But they are American made. And that's what we've been preaching here lately. Make America great again. Bring jobs back to America. And that's what CPS has done. This is an all American-made manifold, and y'all want to cry and complain about it. I mean, come on, man. Y'all need to make up y'all's mind of what you really want. But anyway, I'll get off that subject. So, Sporlin was nice enough to, who is a sponsor here of the Israelhvac podcast, was nice enough to send me out some Zoomlock dryers. I tried out the Zoomlock today again. Well, I not tried it out. I used the Zoomlock again today. I installed the mobile home coil. I posted pictures on Facebook. Unfortunately, I didn't get any video for YouTube, but I did get a picture and put it on Facebook. All I did was I used a 7/8 coupling Zoomlock on the suction line. I did not use it on the 3/8 because I just unscrewed the flare nut and screwed it onto the new coil. I've always done them that way. It just makes life easier. But I did Zoomlock the suction line. It was fantastic. I'm in the process of practicing. I've got some scrap units. I'm going to start cutting the bales off of condensing units and practice on them a couple times, get my confidence built up. I have a furnace and a coil to change out this week. But if you're listening to this, I've already done it. Anyway, so hopefully I use the Zoomlock on it when you're listening to this. My goal, I want to, cut the bell off of the evaporator and go ahead and put on my couplings, or a 90 if I'm going to need a 90. I can kind of, look and tell, and get that fitted up outside. That way, when I get the coil in place, it'll be this particular one will be upflow in a closet. That way I don't have to Zoomlock onto the evaporator. All I have to do is Zoomlock my line set. So I can take the doors off of the evaporator, Zoomlock my fitting on underneath the carport or wherever outside, get everything in place, and then Zoomlock my line set on and use a Zoomlock dryer. Because this particular condensing unit is an ICP from 2007, somewhere in that area. And I'm leaving it. It's R22. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to Zoomlock it. Well, I could convert the system over to 407C and use Zoomlock. So that's what I'll do. I'm going to convert it over to 407C. I'll use the Zoomlock because it's got a suction line dryer, and I want to repipe a section of the suction line. So I'm going to Zoomlock that, and then I have to replace the liquid dryer because, obviously we're doing a change out, so I'm going to replace the liquid dryer. I'm going to take the suction dryer out and replace a section of the suction line pipe. I'll Zoomlock that. And then I will take the liquid dryer out and replace it with a Zoomlock liquid dryer. So that's the goal. I definitely do want to start using the Zoomlock more often because I used it today, and it's a great tool. But I just got to get my confidence built up in cutting those bales off. And that's all it is to it. I'm not really so much worried about the evaporators because I did that Linux. But I am worried about the condensers because of the lack of room. But that's why I want to practice on some old scrap units and to build my confidence up. So that's what's been going on. Other than that, it's just been basic service calls. We've been getting a lot of rain here in Louisiana. I have never, in my 28 years of life, I have never seen this much rain in Louisiana. I mean, it's not raining every single day, but it seems like it's raining every other day. Even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. We're getting some type of rain every day to every other day. And it's just ridiculous. The days that it doesn't rain, it gets blistering hot, the calls come rolling in, and I stay busy as hell. The days it does rain, like today it rained, it shuts down, people don't call. It rained this morning, but it stopped this afternoon. So I've already got I've got a change out to do tomorrow, which was yesterday if you're listening to this, and I've got several service calls to do too. The service calls are lined up already, and it's because we're not calling for any rain. But I mean, I guess that's what it is. That seems to be the pattern. Every time it rains, the phone stops. Every time it quits raining, the phone rings. I'm sick of the rain. I'm tired of the rain. Every time it seems like it just starts to dry. It starts to dry up we get more rain. I can't even get to my scrap pile right now over at the shop out at Dad's place because it's too wet. By the time it starts to dry up and I can start to get back there, boom, it rains again. So I'm tired. Needless to say, I've had enough rain to last me a long time. Never seen it rain this much here in Louisiana. So, anyway, that's about it this week. We're going to get into the interview with Chuck here in just a minute. Stay tuned Monday for a new episode of the Cowboys of HVAC podcast. Oh, yeah, there is one more thing I wanted to talk about in this opening before we get to Chuck. Ant Probe, I contacted Ant Probe, and I asked him some questions about their leak detector. And for those of you that don't know, Ant Probe has come out with a refrigerant leak detector. And they are going to be kind enough to actually send me one to test. They're going to let me test out their new refrigerant leak detector. I'm going to try to look for it while I'm talking to you guys. But I want to say that Ant Probe posted a video of their leak detector on Facebook, or maybe it was YouTube. So what I'm doing right now is, I don't know if y'all can hear my mouse clicking, but if you hear me clicking my mouse, just please excuse that. I'm just trying to find this video for y'all. But yeah, they came out with a refrigerant leak detector. It looks like it's pretty nice. And so, I had some questions about it, but they're going to be nice enough to send me one to try out. So I'm very excited about that. I'm not seeing it here on YouTube. Yeah, it is on YouTube. But it's not by the Ant Pro people. It must have been on their Facebook channel. Facebook page, excuse me. Let me go over to Facebook here. And we'll go to Ant Probe's Facebook page. And see if that's where I saw the video. Ant Probe has been a really good supporter of the Cowboys of HVAC podcast and this podcast here. They don't actually money sponsor the Cowboys or this one, even though I'm trying to work something out with them on this to money sponsor the Israel podcast. But they are nice enough. They sent us 12 meters for the giveaway. I'm on their Facebook page right now, and I'm not seeing the video, but I know that they posted a video of that leak detector, but I don't know where. I can't remember where I saw it. I mean, it's got to be on here somewhere. Well, I'm not seeing it on Facebook, but if you guys go over to YouTube and in the search bar type in the Ant Probe leak detector, there are some videos on it. Okay. Go over to YouTube and type in Ant Probe refrigerant leak detector in the search bar. Should be the second video. It's called the Ant Probe RLD-1 refrigerant leak detector. The video is by tequipment.net. It's the second thumbnail. It's a red leak detector. Looks like, it might be a good one. But they're going to let me try it out, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys here on the opening. But, stay, like I said, stay tuned Monday for a new episode of Cowboys of HVAC podcast every Monday. We appreciate all you guys' support on that. I appreciate you guys' support here on the Israel HVAC podcast, the new, in the new direction that I'm taking the podcast in. Really means a lot for the support. You guys were awesome last Thursday. The downloads, I mean, I got like 700 and something downloads in the first day, so that's great. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. But let's get into the interview. You guys are really going to enjoy this. Chuck Pierce is a great guy, and we talked about, a little bit of everything, and I really enjoyed my interview with Chuck. And I want you guys to go on YouTube and check out Chuck Pierce's channel. The name of his channel is Comfort Plus Heating and Cooling. Chuck has some great videos. He's got great content on that channel. You guys are really going to enjoy Chuck's channel, and I really think you're going to enjoy this interview. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview. Let's get to it. Here's Chuck Pierce, everybody. All right, guys. Well, I am sitting here talking with the man, the myth, and the legend. I'm talking to a man that jacks up a house to run a duct, to fit a duct, and I'm talking to a man that hurls furnaces in an attic by himself. And Zach gave him the best nickname that anybody could have gave him. I'm talking to the Batman of HVAC, Mr. Chuck Pierce. How you doing, Chuck?
Doing good, John. Not sure about that nickname, but
no, you really are, man. You are the Batman of HVAC.
You just, when you work alone, you have to do whatever it takes.
That's very true. That's very true. But we've talked about you in the Cowboy podcast and stuff, and people are like, "Hey, man, can I get a link to the guy that jacks up the house to run the duct?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll send you a link."
That was a pretty precarious house there. I was a little afraid to cut the hole in the floor for the return until I did.
Oh yeah, that was good stuff, man. But Chuck, when I start these things out, I always ask the same question, so I'm going to ask you two, and you can explain to everybody. How did you get into the business? How did you get into HVAC?
Truly, when I first got interested in refrigeration or HVAC, I was actually a swimming pool contractor in Roanoke, Virginia. And we did a lot of high-end residential and commercial type swimming pools. In fact, we built a pool at the vice presidential residence up in Washington, D.C. at the Naval Observatory.
Wow.
That was back when Dan Quayle was a vice president.
Right.
How long ago that was. But at any rate, we started getting into some heat pumps for swimming pools. Mm-hmm. And nobody would touch them. I mean, they wasn't made by your typical HVAC companies. They were made by the swimming pool companies like Hayward and at that time PacFab.
Right. And
nobody would touch them because they just, it was something weird. It was really just a geothermal.
Right.
Really, you call it a heat pump. It doesn't have a reversing valve because all it does is heat the water.
Right.
Although, in thinking about it, they probably should make a heat pump for some of these areas like Las Vegas where the water gets too warm. But,
yes.
Cool it down. But that's when I really got interested or had to get involved in refrigeration. And then when I left the pool business and moved back home down here to Tennessee, the county schools needed a HVAC person.
Right.
I went to work there, and boy, we had a little bit of everything. You can really learn a lot working on a place like that, where you have like I say, a lot of schools that range from 75 years old up to 10 years old.
Right. So you worked for the school board of your county?
Yes. Yeah. I did about 16 facilities, 16 buildings had to take care of, and of course some of those buildings, a lot of the elementary schools especially, you have a lot of modular units out back.
Right.
A lot of wall packs. Had some old 1970 era barred wall packs that were still running.
Right.
Had heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps at one school. One of the newer schools had wells for the geothermal. Had another newer school that had water source heat pumps that used a cooling tower and started out as electric boilers, believe it or not. And
wow.
we changed them out to propane after electricity got so high.
Yeah. Yeah, see, we I know guys that work for our school board that do HVAC. So I'm pretty familiar with, what you did there. And like you said, we got so many schools and like he's always saying, they never know what they're going to run into, because we have some schools that are new and we have some that are like, oh my God,
Yeah. You can see a little bit of everything at a school system. Typically.
Yeah. So how long did you work there?
I worked at the school system for about 8 or 10 years.
And then
And
then
I
you
came out
started
on my own. Yeah.
And when did you do that?
2014 is when I actually started my company.
Okay.
My wife passed away in 2013,
Right.
and of course I only had myself to take care of. And I said, if I'm going to do something, this is a good time to do it because I don't have nobody to take care of but myself. So
right.
It's turned out great. I guess truly, this will be 3 years now because I think I started on July 17th of 2014. So we're right at the 3 year mark.
Right. So, any regrets, or you like it?
Oh, none at all. I like it. I mean, it's nice being your own boss. I mean,
getting to make your own schedule.
Sure, and make your own decisions. I mean, if you go out and you do something, you can do it right. I mean, if it takes more time, big deal. Even if it takes more money, big deal. I mean, it's it's, your name on it, and you can do it the way you want to, and you don't have to worry about somebody saying, "Why did you do this?" And we didn't have that much money in the job for that.
Yeah, and, exactly.
If you quote a job, you do it for that, regardless.
Right. So you've been in business for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And you were doing. Everybody that follows you on YouTube. Well, I tell you what. Let's talk about that. What got you into YouTube? Like, did you or who did you find first on YouTube? And
I believe it was Ralph.
Right.
Ralph, TNN Services. Of course, when you're doing HVAC, if you're just repairing units and this and that, you usually get a lot of opportunity to do any ductwork at all, unless you're doing a change out, and then it's just simple transitions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just looking on YouTube one time, thinking, how do they do ductwork? And I came across that series that Ralph did,
right?
Called, sheet metal, where he bought a furnace, a damaged furnace, and brought it into his office there, and cut it open, made transitions, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And, I just thought that was great. And of course, when you watch a video on YouTube, it'll recommend other videos. Of course, you and Zach, and
right,
folks like that were in the same group there on Google Plus at that time. I think is where we spent most of our time.
Right. That's right. And you decided did you think it looked like fun, and you decided to start making a few videos?
Oh yeah. Like I say, of course, I was probably watching that, probably in the summer or maybe even the spring of 2014. I think I finally signed up for an account in December of 2014. So it took me a few months to realize that, hey, this looks like fun. It's something I'd want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how I got into YouTube. When I was sitting at the house, I remember I was really bored one evening, and I said, man, I wonder if there's any videos on YouTube of guys doing air conditioning work. So I just typed in HVAC, and I started running across Zach and some of the older guys that are not with it. I mean, older YouTubers is what I mean, that are no longer with us. And I said, man, that looks like a lot of fun. I want to start doing that. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it went with me, too. But
I know YouTube gets a lot of grief, people, saying, what are you doing showing people how to do stuff? I was taking food off my kids' stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not. I mean, if that was the case, every automobile mechanic in the world would be broke. I mean, there's plenty of people that aren't going to do it themselves, and the people that are looking at YouTube videos, there's two kinds of people. There's people that's going to look at them and know how to do it, and they would have probably done it themselves anyway.
Right.
And people that's going to look at them and think they can do it, and they're going to screw it up and get you back out to fix it.
Exactly. Yes.
There's enough work to go around.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's not for your average homeowner. I mean, I watch the videos because I learn things. I mean, not everything is done the same way.
Right.
In every location, and you see things in different areas that my supply house don't even know what I'm talking about. I see you guys using something. I say, hey man, why don't you have this? What is it?
Right. Right.
Sometimes they'll bring it in, if it's something that's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, just like the pump ups or the snow legs, whatever people call them.
Sure. I bet you don't see that down there, do you?
No, I never knew they existed until I started watching YouTube. Mm-hmm. But now I have a supply house stocking them for me, and I use them.
Sure. I mean, even if you don't have snow, it's nice to get it up off the ground so you can wash out from under it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't have snow here, but it's still nice to lift your condensers up off the pad. That way they can drain, because we do have a lot of dirt here and leaves, and that way they can drain. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I learned, I never knew what those were. And then me and Zach were talking on the Cowboy podcast. we may have never started using digital gauges had it been for YouTube.
Well, sure.
You know?
People probably wouldn't even know they exist.
Right. Speaking of that, what are your tools of choice right now? Like, what are you using as far as a manifold?
Well, I got a Testo 550 that I
Right.
use for, like, if I roll up on a house, it's got a R22 condenser sitting there, and they're asking me to check it. And I figure it's probably a leak. I'll throw them on it, something quick like that. And of course, I use it for my pressure test. I like having the little timer on it.
Right.
It shows you the pressure drop. But then the other gauge that I really use on all my installs is the iManifold. I've got Zach's old original, or one of his original iManifolds.
Oh, okay, so you do still use the iManifold?
Yes, I got the iManifold, and I think I've got 3 of the temperature probes.
Right.
And that's I never bought anything to do with the manometer or the electrical.
Right.
Or anything like that, but I do. I mean, I like being able to show people. I went to a job yesterday. It was a 2-ton package unit on a big single wide mobile home, and they were complaining that it was running all the time. And I rode up to it and I walked out. And, I mean, there's a pond at the end of the condensate drain, and I said, well, it's running all the time because it needs to, apparently.
Yeah.
I gauged up on it, stuck the probes in the vents inside, and popped it up on my phone, and it's, a 2-ton unit was doing 2.04 tons. So I just showed the lady, I said, it's doing all it can do.
Right.
When it cools down some, it won't run as much, but right now it's going to have to run if you want to keep it 70 degrees in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, you're one of the few guys left that's using the iManifold, because a lot of guys dumped it after what happened with Jim Berkman.
Well, I mean, I've never been a reporting type of guy or anything anyway.
Right.
I use it because it's just a good tool.
It is a good tool.
I'm just, like the lady sitting on her front porch talking about her unit running, and I just showed her, I said, it's doing 2.04 tons. That's all she needed to hear. It was working. It was working like it should have been.
Hey, that's a very good point.
Just eased her mind.
Yeah, I don't have mine anymore, but that makes a good point. That I didn't care about the reporting, but I've got a lot of customers that do. I just don't think it's doing. And maybe I should have held on to it, because I could have done that. I could have said, look, here it is. It's putting out 3 tons. It's doing everything that it can do. So that's a good point. I never did think about that. But so Chuck, if you don't mind me asking, and on the podcast, how old are you?
I'm 50. What am I? 51. 51.
51. Okay. And some of the guys on Facebook were that asked for your link and all that. You're hurling these furnaces in the attic, and you still doing that if you have to?
Well, I have to, yeah. I mean, like an air handler is pretty easy. You can pull everything out, throw it up in there. But a furnace, you don't want to be taking a furnace apart. That's a million screws.
Yeah, about the other thing you could do. I mean, you can pull the blower out, but you still got that heat exchanger.
Still got the heavy part.
Yeah. So
that's one thing I do like about mini split. So I'm like, dang, this is pretty good for a one-man show,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, piece is about 75 pounds.
Exactly. Well, you know what? You brought up the next thing I was going to ask you. You said a one-man show. You think you're going to stay that way, or do you have plans to grow and add trucks? Or
no, I think I'll stay that way, John. I really do. I'm doing this. It's something I enjoy doing, and I just don't see myself, having a lot of people out there running around,
Yeah.
When I was talking about the pool business, when I really got involved in the pool business up there in a management type position, we had about 15 2-man crews.
Right.
Trucks for all of those, and plus store employees and different things. And we were scattered all over the state of Virginia. Right. I mean, we were doing jobs in Lee County, which is over next to Kentucky, and we were doing jobs in Virginia Beach and up in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And it was just driving us crazy. I mean, trying to keep up with it. And we really wasn't making the kind of money you should have been making with that much overhead.
Right.
So what we did, we just decided to start scaling back and being more selective, because at that point we were taking every job, that was within 5 hours time driving, just because we needed to.
Right.
So as people, retired or moved or whatever, we just started scaling back. We didn't really, lay off or anything, but we got down to about 4 or 5 good crews. Mm-hmm. Started concentrating just on really high-end residential and commercial jobs that were close to us. And the profit jumped way up,
Yeah.
And it was a lot easier to control and take care of.
No, I'm in the same boat with you. I interviewed Greg Fox last week on here, and Greg's doing really good, but he's shooting for the moon, man. He's been in business for about 1.5 years. He's got 4 trucks on the road now.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to go big, I think.
But
be small or be big. I don't think you can be in the middle. And
you're right, man. Because but I was sitting here on the computer like I'm looking at you, and you could just see the passion in Greg's eyes. Like that's what he wants.
It comes across on his videos. I watch his videos.
Yeah. You can tell in his videos that's what he wants. So I think he'll do fine with it. But you're like me. Actually, when I started this, I was working for my father and his business partner. That was a large company, and we took 2 of the heat and air guys with us. So we had my truck, their 2 trucks, and Dad had a truck. So we had 4 trucks on the road. Yeah. And just 4 trucks was a headache.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it was a lot to deal with, and we downsized. Me and Dad had a long talk, and we told those 2 guys, look, this is not what we want, and we let them work until they found a job, and they understood. But instead of growing, we downsized. So we sold off all them trucks that we had. We had them Dodge pickup trucks. We sold them all, and Dad got him a van, and I got me the utility body that I wanted, and that's it. And, since that has happened, Dad's had some health issues. He had a heart attack and had heart surgery. And then, he recently just had a hernia taken out. So it's pretty much, he's just kind of laying low right now.
But take it easy.
Yeah. But, just having 2 guys working for you was a headache.
Mm-hmm. And that's not even talking about the business end of it with the workers' compensation insurance.
Exactly. I mean,
you're going to run into there.
Yeah, that was another thing. Workers' comp, and oh man, it was a lot. But it looks like Greg has that passion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess if you have the passion and the desire, you'll do well with it.
Sure.
But I don't. And but again, I'm not knocking Greg. That's great. If that's what he wants,
absolutely.
If that's what he wants to do, like I told him, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll succeed, and that's great. But that's just not something it's not for me.
Well, I want to keep my overhead low enough that if I don't want to work all the time, I don't have to work all the time.
Right.
And I bought a building. I never would have thought I would have done that. But
yeah, how's that going?
I love it. I mean, I got to work on it. I need to spend some time working on it. I just don't have time right now. But winter's coming, and I'll have lots of time there. But I got thinking, hey, rather than rent something, why not just buy something, because it'll be paid for before you know it.
Right.
And because I was using another local company here that's probably been in business since about 1999. And I saw him the other day, and he was fussing at me because I didn't buy his company. He would like to. He's gotten too large, he thinks.
Oh yeah.
But he's still renting the building, and he could have bought the building probably twice, but he's renting it because he was just unsure, I guess. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being unsure, but if you're going to do it, just do it. And probably I think 7 years, 6.5 now, I'll own that building.
Yeah.
And, I'll have a place to tinker, even if I don't want to do HVAC. I'll be getting them up in the years by then.
Right. But now you have a place where you can put your scrap and all that instead of having to stack it at your house.
Yeah, right. I had a 3-car garage and couldn't get a car in it. So.
Right. So have you got to clean out your garage and move everything over there?
I keep my van. I bought a low-top van just because I wanted to be able to park it in my garage here at the house.
Right.
But I park it in my other automobile in the garage now. I still have some room, so that's nice.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, you go to work, you got a place to go to, you go do it, and you leave it there and come home, and I have to, feel like I need to go out there and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you started out, you were doing Aries equipment.
Mm-hmm. Because I did that because of C.C. Dixon.
Because they treated you real good.
And then it's good guys, and of course I used them. We used them a lot for the schools. That's how I got to know everybody over there.
Right.
And that was the equipment they sold.
Yeah.
And when United Refrigeration, which had bought them several years prior, but they made them take the name this past May, and they made the decision in the fall last year not to carry Aries equipment any longer. Mm-hmm. They were going to they already were selling ICP.
Right.
I think a lot of them sell Heil, but in this case, there was already a Heil dealer in this area that was selling Heil equipment, so they had to sell the ArcaWire badge here. So that was at the same time I got the opportunity to go with American Standard. And
So when that happened, you moved to American Standard.
Yeah.
And how's that going for you?
It's good. The distributor's actually in Knoxville, which, if you were just going to get on the road and drive down, would be almost, hour and a half, 2 hour drive from here. But they'll deliver. I mean, if I order something today, they'll deliver it tomorrow.
Well, that's good.
And I did. I had a job on a Friday afternoon. I went and looked at it on Thursday evening. It was at a factory where they made fibers, spun fibers.
Right.
And they basically what they needed was just like a 3-ton AC unit in that little spinning room there to keep the humidity down and the temperature. And they decided. I went out Thursday evening and looked at it. Friday about lunchtime, they said, "Can you do it tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, if I go to Knoxville and pick up the equipment, I can." They said, "Whatever it takes." Yeah. So I drove down and picked up the equipment, and they had a huge warehouse, John. And that was just, they got one in Nashville, one in Knoxville.
Right.
They had that thing stacked to the rafters with equipment. And sometimes I get equipment, and it's like 4th of May, and I got equipment that was supposed to be made in May. And I'm like, they must really go through a bunch of it.
Yeah.
But they've been super great to work with. Like I say, everybody's nice. They have stuff on hand. They get it up here real quick. So at this point, I'm sticking with it because, like I say, they're treating me right, and I like the equipment. I mean, I'd never really, of course, I'd serviced a lot of American Standard, but I'd never installed American Standard. Of course, and in my mind, a lot of it's about all the same. It's how you put it in that makes the difference.
You're absolutely right. But the thing about American Standard and Train here, the problem here is that you're going to pay for it. So how's your pricing?
My pricing was comparable to my Aries.
And see, that's unbelievable.
And I never looked. I never did. I'd have to get set up as a dealer with United in order to get my pricing for the ICP.
Right.
And I just don't want to be someone who changes equipment all the time. I mean, I didn't really want to leave Aries, but I really didn't have a choice.
Look, man, I've been there. I get a lot of trolls on YouTube that knock me for that because I did. I at one point I was changing brands every year because I wanted. I don't know. I was doing it because I guess I wanted to find what worked for me.
Sure.
Now I had always did ICP. That's what I started with when I first started the business, and I always liked it. And every time I would try something else, I'd go to Train. I left Train. I went back to ICP. Then I went and did the Ream and Root and all that. Always went back to ICP. So every time I tried something, I always went back to ICP. And then the thing is, it's like you said, it's a distributor, and the distributor that I deal with has ICP and Ream, so I can get I'm a dealer for both. But sure. I like the way these guys take care of me. Plus, I love the equipment, so that's why I choose to sell it. But
I mean, just like we were talking earlier, I think I texted you earlier in the week and asked you about that 1991 air handler I came across. Had the rotted drain pan.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and if I wanted to get because they had I think they got a '07 or '09 R22 outdoor heat pump.
Right.
Which looks fine. It's running fine. In the 91 air handler's holding Freon. It's just the drain pan's rotted.
Right.
Because it was before they started using plastic horizontal drain pans.
Right.
I got to looking up the specs on a new ICP here. I think I actually went to the Comfort Maker site.
Right.
And it's identical dimensions as far as the width and height. And so like that being easy retrofit, you wouldn't have to change any ductwork.
Exactly. Carrier. See, when ICP was invented, I mean, it's always been ICP, but it used to be Inner City Products. That was before Carrier bought them.
Sure.
When Carrier got their hands on them, ICP, they just adapted the Carrier equipment. The air handler started getting made. I mean, when you take the door off of an ICP air handler, it's got a white sticker that says Carrier on the blower.
Sure.
Carrier has not changed their air handler design in years. I mean,
something to be said for that. I mean, it's nice for us as people that have to go out and install this stuff and work on it. If you can,
man, I love taking out a Carrier or an ICP piece of equipment because my ICP stuff goes right back in. I mean, it's like you said, it's an easy retrofit.
Yeah.
So
you get on some of these old Ream air handlers. They had that little compact thing that had the heating elements wrapped around the blower wheel.
Yes.
Some of those are almost impossible to put back something new without completely reducting it.
Yeah, completely redoing your return and supply and all that. Yeah. I've had to do it. I've definitely had to do it. But yeah, well that's good. I mean, because man, American Standard and Train here, there's no way I could get my pricing close to what I'm paying for ICP now. It would be like through the roof. So,
well, like I say, I haven't really gotten my dealer pricing for any ICP, but just simply because I guess part of my mind was like, well, if I find out it's a lot cheaper, I'm probably going to change, and I really don't want to change yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to just, like I say, as I said before, I'd still be Aries if CC Dixon still sold Aries.
Yeah, and the bad thing about it is that about flip-flopping equipment is you don't know what you got out there.
Right. I pretty much know every job I've ever put in was an Aries until last fall.
Exactly. And that's the bad thing about flip-flopping brands is that, for the most part I know, but then you got those one customers like, man, I don't know what I put them. And that sucks, because I do get that every now and then. So, yeah, definitely flip-flopping brands is not a good thing to do. I regret doing it, but, it is what it is. I can't change it now. But it's good to know that when you get a phone call and you say, hey, the unit's not working and you put it in, to know, okay, well, it's going to be a ICP or it's going to be a this or that, because and for the past few years I've been, sticking with ICP, so
yeah. Well, I mean, if you stay with it, eventually that's all you'll be
right. Right. So, I mean, I try to stay in between two, because and also my supply house is getting a shipment in this week of Ream and Rude have brought back the Weather King line.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they brought it back, so that's going to be my new. That's going to be my secondary line for cheap stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
of course, I got a lot of rentals out here. I work for a few landlords.
Yeah, so do I.
One guy's he bought some apartments that had like 20 units, and they got all 1992 Goodman or Janitrol. Even.
Right.
Air handlers and condensers out there, and they're all original. I mean, they're still there.
Yeah.
1992.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I was going to ask you next. Are you still doing Ameristar?
Yeah, I'll do Ameristar. Or what I'm going to do, one of my the same landlord has a double wide he bought. It's a foreclosure.
Right.
It had an old Nortec condenser and coil, and it's full of holes. So he's getting a Goodman with a mobile home coil,
Right.
Going back.
Right.
And, of course, the key there is Goodman will register, rentals for 10 years. Warranty, where some manufacturers won't.
That's exactly right. But what's crazy, that they quoted me out some of this Weather King stuff. Okay, well, first of all, I'm buying air temp cheap at Ori Michael because that's what I've been using for budget jobs and rentals is air temp.
Right.
Well, I'd much rather deal with my ICP supplier because that's who I like to deal with, and I don't have no microchannel with Weather King.
Sure.
You know, I'm still scared of the microchannel with air temp, even though I haven't seen the Nordynes do what the Yorks have done, but it's still in the back of my head.
Me too.
Yeah, so I would much rather do the Weather King because, I mean, all it is a ream with a different sticker. You know, and ream Rood's good equipment. But they quoted me out some of the Weather King, and I was shocked. It's even cheaper than air temp.
Is it really?
So I'm going to buy Weather King cheaper than Goodman and cheaper than air temp.
That's great.
And that's fantastic. So, I'm looking forward to trying one on my next budget job.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll get us a video. Let's know.
Oh yeah.
At least, you know.
Yeah.
Is it going to be is it just a ream with the Weather King like sticker like it used to be? Or
I don't think they have that. I don't think they have that pretty.
The new rounded.
Right. The new platform is what they call it.
Yeah.
I want to say it is a newer looking unit. I don't think it's a cube anymore.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look exactly like that because that's Riemann Rood's thing, that new platform. So I think the Weather King's going to have a little different look to it, a little cheaper look to it.
Yeah.
So, but the air handlers won't. The air handlers are the same. The gas furnaces are the same. The coils are the same.
Well, that's like the Ameristar furnaces.
Right.
I mean, they are identical to the Training American Standard furnaces, except they're not painted.
They're not painted. Right. Yeah. So how's Ameristar been? No troubles?
I didn't have any trouble. Well, the ones I put in, I mean, I haven't put a ton of them in.
Right.
I'm not going to go out and sell them to everybody.
Right.
I explained to the landlords in most cases that, this is something that's distributed by my American Standard distributor.
Right.
It's not the same. It's instead of being made in United States and Mexico, it's made in China.
Yeah.
And that's where you're saving your money. So, if you want to save the money, you can do this. It's got the same warranty. I don't know enough about it to tell you, if you're going to need to use that warranty or not. But so far, so good. Everything that comes in, it looks great. It's real tough built. I mean, we could probably take some lessons. We, as being in America, from the Chinese on how they're building some of this stuff. I mean, it was really, for a cheap unit, they've got a lot of good ideas there.
Yeah, I've heard you say that on the videos, and I've heard Curtis say that, but I've never got to lay my hands on one.
It's impressive. It's thick steel.
Right.
It's pumped out nice. There's no sharp edges.
Yeah.
The paint feels amazing on it. It's nice and smooth and thick, the powder coat or whatever.
Right.
The top of the fans, I was real impressed with that. They've got an actual dome built into the actual grills for the condenser fans that makes them sturdy. You know how a lot of condenser fans will bounce when they're running.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I like about ICP too and Carrier. They dome their fan.
Yeah.
And you take people like Riemann Rood, they're flat. Training American Standard are flat.
Well, people learn from their past mistakes. Of course, how many howls have you walked up on that the tabs have broke off, that, the old howls?
Yeah.
And the fan's laying down there in the bottom.
Oh, yeah. That's true. All right, Chuck. Well, I tell you what, man, I've had a lot of fun. I appreciate you joining me.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me, John. It's good to talk with you. And I look forward to listening to you guys' podcast. I download them on my phone and listen to them while I'm driving.
Yeah. Well, I know you're busy, man, but I know everybody. I told a few people I was interviewing you, so they said to tell you if you could to please take the camera out soon.
I need to do that.
What's that?
I said I need to do that. I'll try to do better.
Yeah, that'll work, man. All right, thank you again, Chuck.
All right, John.
Sporlan Smart Pro R service tools are specifically developed to meet the needs of refrigeration technicians. All the benefits of our original kit, plus the Smart Pro R tools allow temperature readings down to minus 40 degrees, fit any diameter pipe, allow multi-coil superheat readings, and 10 times the signal strength. Find out more at sporlanonline.com.